more and more in. I've got Sheriff Spangler coming on Wednesday, and I'm scared to death of that one. I don't know. I just don't like talking to cops.
He does have arrest powers, so
yeah. I mean, I don't. I have.
Make sure you go through the house and make sure there's nothing to
Well,
for him to find.
oh, well, like I would have had him here if he was coming, but his handler asked me if I would come to his office, and I was like, I would love to come to the office. I just don't have the mobile ability with the studio yet to do that. So is he cool with Zooming it? So we set up a Zoom. So unfortunately, he's going to be on. I don't know. Fortunately, unfortunately, whatever. And so I'm trying to think of what I want to ask the man. Like, I don't know enough. Like, this is one of the weird things for me trying to jump in is like, I don't know enough about enough things to have conversations about stuff. And let me make sure I use the name correctly here so I don't screw up. Kimberly Glenn, who's his kind of communications officer, for lack of a better word. I've been going back and forth with her, setting it up, and she's been really, I'm assuming it's a she, but I've been going back with her, and she's like, is there any information, any data that you'd like to have going into it? And so I asked for some of that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it's weird. Like it feels unnatural to me to be in a position to be talking to the sheriff in anything other than a bad situation. Like I'm not a bad dude. I don't do bad things, but it's like my interaction. Like I made this joke a long time ago. It's like, at what age do you remember when that shifted? Like, do you like I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was in like the 12, 13, between 12 and 15, somewhere in there is when it shifted from, I want to be a police officer when I grow up to I want anything that doesn't have to get me anywhere near cops. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't think I'm special in that. I think there's a lot of people that there's a shift there that it turns into they're the thing that and I think it's a dissonance that we have as people it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong, but they're the people that catch you doing things wrong. And so like that is who I am. The only interactions I've had with police officers have not been positive situations for me. And so like, and again, this goes into a very big, broad conversation about policing and that whole kind of thing. Is that mentality, which I don't think I'm special in, is one of the biggest problems with policing we have. Is that I'm not afraid of cops in the sense that I don't, like, if one was walking down the street and I happened to walk down the street, I'd say hello. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to be in their presence. And like that kind of attitude, I think, is one of the problems we have as a society with police. And I don't think I'm special with that.
Well, I think one of the things where you're definitely not special is, in your teenage years, I think most people, we go through a period of rebellion. Where
you say period like it ended. I don't know if it ended.
It may not take tangible. Doesn't necessarily mean you're that you hit 13 or 14 and everybody's going to start smoking pot and drinking whiskey that they steal from their parents or whatever. But there is a rebellion time that takes different forms for different people against authority. And I think there is a time there that you have that you rebel against authority, and that authority includes the legal authority. Doesn't mean you're going to that everybody breaks the law. It just means that you have an attitude toward law enforcement. I think that tends to go away. You're shaking your head. I say to go away. When you get older, especially if you're not doing anything wrong, it does tend to go away. Especially if you need their help when other people are doing wrong, bad things near you, and you need to rely on them.
And maybe that's a privilege, right? Maybe that's a privilege that I need to check. Honestly, is that I haven't had a situation where I needed a police officer in my life.
That's great.
Right.
I think most police officers would say it's fantastic that you haven't needed us to respond to something like a break in at your house or
right.
Drug dealers living 2 doors down from you or something like that.
Right.
They would say, that's great.
Right. But it's like,
and it is great.
Right. And so it's just one of those, I just had that epiphany just now. It's like, I was thinking about it as you were talking. It's like, I haven't had an opportunity, and I'm glad I haven't had the opportunity, but I've never had a situation where it's like, I need a cop right now. That's not true. I worked in the bar game for a long time, and there's been plenty of times where I needed a cop handy. I got in a fight with an ice bear. Yeah, one of the well, actually, do what?
You lost, didn't you?
No, he doesn't.
Really?
You don't win a hockey fight on the street. That's just not how it works. Like he legitimately like what was a Mighty Ducks movie? You pull the shirt over the head. You remember that from Mighty Ducks?
Yeah.
You pull their shirt over their head so they can't defend themselves. He did that to me, and so the shirt just came off, and then we continued fighting. Like he tried to he tried to hockey fight me on feet. But I mean, he's in jail now. You probably ran the story on it. I can't remember the kid's name, but him and his wife had some. They were embezzling money from some companies or something like that. I wish I could remember his name. That's gonna drive me crazy now. Anyway, he fought me at the bar one night, and it's like it was kind of cool because all the like everybody at the bar was my regulars and they knew me, and so they were helping me out. But I haven't had a lot of situations where I've wanted cops in my life, and so that's a good thing. And I need to reassess it because like I had a plan with what I was about to say, and then that thought came to my head, and I was like, maybe I need to shut up about it before I start talking. Because again, for me, I mean, I got arrested one time, and I was glad I got arrested. I should have got arrested. I deserve to get arrested. I'm not mad at the cops for that. I absolutely my one arrest is well founded, and it's in my past, and I'm not mad at anybody for that arrest, but at least for me, that idea is stuck around where it's like I just don't like. There's I don't know. There's this automatic. They're kind of looking at me in a what are they doing that I can get them for idea, and that freaks me out. And so anyway, this all came about because I don't know how to talk to a sheriff, and I'm trying to interview one in a couple days, and I was trying to seek your wisdom on the conversation because it's like I don't know because like like one of the things to me, and Matt and I were talking about it earlier. It's like where do they sit in the hierarchy of the state? Where does the sheriff sit? Because they don't necessarily answer to the mayor. They don't necessarily answer to the commission. I'm assuming at some state level they have somebody that can come down on them with a hammer, but like
nope.
Again,
sheriffs answer to the voters. Period.
That's
there are obviously if there are problems in the sheriff's office, the state can investigate them and do things to them. But basically, the way it's set up, sheriffs are elected by the people and are answerable only to the people, and cannot be. The only way they can be removed is by losing an election, by a recall,
right?
Or if they get arrested for breaking the law by usually state or federal officials, which has happened several times in Tennessee's history.
I was talking to Chris Davis about that earlier this week with the election commission. The recall process is really, really hard to pull off.
Oh yeah. So sheriffs are not, they don't report to anybody.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tread lightly on that subject. I mean, it's a weird. I mean, it makes sense on some levels. Like I like the idea that it's a check and balance against a commissioner or a mayor doing something they aren't supposed to be doing or shouldn't be doing or is unconstitutional. But at the same time, there's a little bit of too much free reign going on that it causes concern. Because I remember reading a story that like I want to say it was California. I don't remember specifically, but it's somewhere out west. There was a discussion of a gun confiscation kind of thing, and a bunch of mayors came out and was like, You can make that law all you want, but as a sheriff, I'm not going into people's houses trying to take their guns. It's not going to happen. So if you want to make the law, that's fine.
There is, and that happened here with the bar closure mandate.
Right, exactly.
Where Sheriff Spangler said he was not going to enforce it.
But
and there is a law enforcement agencies and they do have discretion on
right, but it's actually
what they can do.
Right.
If you want to make it exaggerate it to make a point. A sheriff could decide not to investigate any murders.
Right. Legally.
And then those murders outside the city limits anyway,
right,
of Knoxville, those murders just wouldn't get investigated.
Right.
And nobody can make the sheriff do anything. So
right, he just we have to
there is a lot of discretion there.
Yeah.
Of course, no sheriff is going to do something like that.
Right.
But now, as I said, I was exaggerating to make a point.
I agree
that they do have the discretion to do things or not do things as they see fit. It's just this, and it even goes down to the street level. An officer who pulls you over for speeding in the city of Knoxville, can let you go,
right,
with a warning. Or they can write you a ticket.
Right.
They can write you a city citation, or they can write you a state ticket.
I didn't know there was a difference.
Got a lot of discretion there. And by the way, you always want a city citation. You don't want a state ticket. So,
all right, but we learned something. We absolutely learned something tonight. Ask for the city ticket. Just give me a city ticket, sir. I apologize.
Yeah,
I won't do it again.
They generally do. And the reason you want to do that is city violations that go to city court are treated as civil matters, not criminal. It doesn't go on the points don't go on your license, and
and that money probably stays here.
And it's a lot cheaper. You pay a $50 fine instead of I don't know what a speeding ticket is now. It's 100 and some.
And it probably stays right, and that cash stays here, and the city gets to spend it on things instead of going to state.
They're $50 a pop. The city doesn't spend a whole. It's not a big money maker for the city
yet. One of these days, when they need the money. Oh, excuse me.
Basically, it pays for the judge's salary and the his staff salary, and
see, that brings up
there might be a little bit left over to do some other things. But
pizza party. That brings up a valid we as I don't that's not fair. I can't say that. Not we. What you as a journalist and me as a guy that's screwing around with it. We're getting into budget season, and this is a brand new game for me. Trying to pay it because the county's going to put their budget out. Does the city put their budget out at the same time, or is that a separate budget? I mean, it's a separate budget. Yeah,
but the timelines are very similar because the fiscal years are identical.
Okay,
so
so both their budgets will come out about the same time, and we'll get to look over them and scrutinize. Because we get the school board budget too, and the sheriff's going to put his budget out, and so we're going to have some major monies to look into and what's going on. So I don't know, what for you as a journalist or as an individual, what is something that you're looking for when we get into budget talks? What's something that's I don't know, maybe something that's been something that you've seen historically that you want to see what it does on this new round of budgets, or something like that?
Well, you always look for one thing is you step back for a second and see what a budget is, and a budget is basically an expression of policy of the executive. So at first, then it gets approved by the legislative body, but the proposed budget is basically the county mayor or the city mayor's priorities for what they want to pursue.
Right.
So you always want to look at where those monies are going and how they change from previous year. Are they putting more money into proportionately more money into the police department than they did the previous year, or are they doing less than they did the previous year? And where are they putting, if they're doing less, where are they putting that money? Is it going more into affordable housing? Is it going more into road construction? Where kind of where the changes are.
Right.
If there's one of the things that's happened over a period of years, and actually longer than a decade, is that the proportion of county funding that's gone to the schools has shrunk. It went from more than 66% of the budget down to like 62, 63% of the budget. So it's, the amount of money, and that's something that's happened over time. It didn't happen on one fell swoop, and it's not easy to identify, the first time it happens. You're not realizing it's a trend.
Right.
But things like that are, changes in trends is one big thing. Obviously everybody looks to see if they're going to be raising taxes. It's kind of it's always a kind of the first thing you look for is, are you going to raise taxes? They always hate that. They always want to tell you what they're going to be doing, not how they're going to be paying for it. But
right.
I would not anticipate a property tax increase from the city this year, and as long as Glenn Jacobs is the mayor of Knox County, I would anticipate that one won't be proposed by him.
Right. So how much have you, and again, you and Matt were talking before we started a little bit about, because you and Jesse kind of break up the beat, for lack of a better word, like where the focus is for what you're reporting on versus what Jesse's reporting on. And so I guess the question is, who has better hair first? Second, who, if either of you, is more focused on school stuff?
Okay, Jesse has better hair.
I disagree.
If for no other reason.
I disagree.
If for no other reason, he has more of it.
But more is not always better. But okay.
But I would say Jesse's got better hair.
Okay, fair enough.
I
told you we're supposed to be making fun of him, so you have better hair. Play the game.
Well, he's not here, so we should make fun of him.
Right.
So okay, yeah, I got better hair.
Damn right you do.
Yeah. I actually had a haircut yesterday.
That's right.
It was only the second haircut I've had in the last year.
So, well, I mean, it's pandemic. We all have had.
I've only had better hair. In other words, I've only had better hair than Jesse for a day.
Well,
because yesterday my hair looked really, really bad.
One day is better than no days, sir.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I forgot what my original question was.
Yeah. You said, who has better hair, and then something else, and I don't remember what it was.
I don't know.
Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
Jesse covers the Knox County School System.
All right. Well, then I'll leave that alone, because that is a shit show that I cannot wrap my head around. It like I say this legitimately bragging, but also really disappointed in the world in general. Is I had Ron McPherson a couple weeks ago, and he told me to my face that I'm probably one of the more knowledgeable people in Knox County about how the school board budget works, and that really hurts my feelings. Like I appreciate it. It makes me feel good about myself, but it really hurts my feelings on the grand scheme of things, because it's too damn complicated to try to keep up with. So all right, so let's break it. All right, so let's leave.
It is very complicated, and the thing about it is, almost no one understands government budgeting anyway. I mean, it's part of our job as journalists is to explain how it works, and it's very
right,
and it is very difficult
well,
and very complicated.
I truly
sometimes we don't do a good job of it.
I truly appreciate you using the word "our" like I'm part of the team, but and that's what frustrates me about it. It's like nobody's doing it. Like we're trying, we are trying to, but like I'm just a guy. I've got a day job. I've got kids. I've got businesses that I own that I don't deal with much because I've built them that way. But like how can it possibly be functional in a society that it has to be this complicated, that somebody has to dedicate 100% of their time? Like that's one of the things I'm struggling with. Like the more I do these episodes and the more I talk to more different people, the more I realize that I could do a whole show on one subsect. Like I could do a whole show that's nothing but all day, every day commission. One show that's all day, every day city. One day that's all county. Like I could do a 5-day a week, hour-long show that is city, county, school board, sheriff's office, state level stuff, federal level stuff, and be 6-7 different shows that are hours and hours of research every single day, just to keep up with. And again, if I was only doing one, like if all I did was school board, I could literally do a show that was 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, just trying to keep up with school board activities.
Yes. Yes, that is one of the things about journalism is back in the day when you had large newspaper newsrooms and larger TV newsrooms and all, you had people who could devote that time to those kinds of things. I mean, Jesse and I basically we cover a kind of a bare bones minimum of what needs to be covered in Knoxville and Knox County, and we work 14, 16 hour days, 6 days a week. Right. So it's but the one thing is, most people, and I say most because there are people who like to dig into things and they want to know exactly how things are broken down. Most people, when you talk about government budgets, the first thing they want to know is it going to affect their taxes? The second thing they want to know is kind of, in a general sense, where is their tax money going? Right. And that's pretty easy to get across. Now, there are a lot of things about government that are a lot more complicated, but that's kind of the basic things. I mean, when you get down to things like how to explain what tax increment financing is, right, and why a government might want to use tax increment financing as an incentive to a developer, that's very complicated. The baseball stadium financing is complicated.
Which it's not even yet. It's really not even that complicated. That's I assume. I take that back. It is pretty complicated, but it's really not. I understand it. If I understand it, it's not that complicated. Like, I get it. I get exactly what's going on with it. It's really not that complicated. But people just don't.
Well, it is not that complicated, in a macro sense. But it is complicated in other ways. In one way, it's complicated if we don't know the proportions of the various parts yet.
Right. I mean, there's absolutely.
The basic thing is, most of the funding is going to be from revenue sources that come from the stadium and the surrounding development. And if that doesn't happen. Those revenue sources aren't there anyway.
Right.
And so, it's, most of it, not all, but most of it will be financed through activities directly related to the stadium.
Right.
And so,
the money doesn't exist if the thing doesn't exist, and the thing doesn't exist if the money doesn't exist. Right. And it's really not like that's the thing, is like it's really not that complicated. It's the where it gets complicated to me. Where it gets complicated to me is how much other it takes away from. Like the best analogy or kind of metaphor, whatever the right term is, am I going to go to the movies tonight or am I going to go to the baseball game? Both of those are Knox County revenues in taxes. One of them Knox County gets in normal sense. The other one gets refinanced and pushed through this new system. That's where it gets complicated, is that there's no way to do that math. You can't say that.
Well, I think that's true to a certain extent. There is, is it a shuffling around of revenues or not?
Right.
A lot. I used to know, and I don't. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know off the top of my head, but a good number of the fans who go to Sevier County to watch the Smokies are from Knox County.
Right.
So the money that they're spending in Sevier County
would be spent here
now.
Right.
Will be spent here now. Now there also will be people.
I got to interrupt.
I don't go to baseball games in Sevierville. And I don't have anything against Sevierville. And I like baseball fine.
You're not driving 45 minutes for it.
It's a chore for me to get up there and do it, and everything. But whereas if it's and the Smoky Stadium would be about less than 10 minutes from my house, 5 minutes from my house.
Right.
And I'm much more likely to spur the moment and go there. Now, I don't know how, I'm especially during the pandemic, I'm such a homebody. I don't know I don't know if that would take money away from Regal to go see the Smokies, but you could. And
right now, first of all, off the top of your head is a better head of hair than Jesse's. Just getting that out of the way. But I get what you're saying. But again, my point being that spur of the moment is you could go into Market Square and do some stuff, or you could go into you could go down on campus and do something or something like that. And that's really that's really where it gets complicated, is how much money is it taking out of normal tax revenue versus this new tax district thing. And again, I don't know. It's really on our again, pretending like I'm one of you as a journalist. It's our job to put it out there, and that's what's missing for the most part, is that I don't know. Like, I guess the concern is that nobody cares. And how do we get people to care better? Because I got an argument with my day job boss because he was like, "Stadium's coming. This is going to be awesome." It's like, well, it's not that simple. They don't want to do the complicated part. They don't want to take consideration of the complicated part. So how do we make the complicated part palatable so that they could take the half a second to think about it before they just make the statement? That's what drives me nuts, is that it's like, I just want baseball in Knoxville.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are people who just want baseball in Knoxville, and they don't care how much it costs. And that's what they want, and there are people who don't want any public funding for it because they don't think that, even though these are all new revenues and everything else, they just think that that's kind of that's not the function of government to do. And nothing, no explanation of the nuances is going to persuade either of those people.
Right.
There are others who think that, the city should have, better, they're not opposed to the spending. It's they think that the city should spend it on, preventing homelessness and things like that. So they're more from the liberal side, and they don't think it should happen. And you're not going to, nothing is going to persuade them. There are a lot of people who might be persuaded by the intricacies of the financing, but there are also a lot of people who just
right. I'm one of them.
Have preconceived things. I mean, your boss or your the person you're talking about. There are people who just say, we want baseball,
right,
and they don't care if it's going to, if the city and the county pay for a stadium or Randy Boyd pays for a stadium. They want a stadium to go to.
Right, and, but the thing to me, the pushback for me on that is that don't care and don't understand are not the same thing. They don't understand what it's going to cost. They don't understand what it's going to be, and they just want their thing. And it's like, well, great, you can want your thing, but then in 5 years when it's all of a sudden a real issue because, worst case scenario, I think I haven't heard the latest update on whether or not the Smokies got their 10-year continuance or not on holding the team. They did? Okay.
They did.
So, best case scenario or worst case scenario, we have Smokies baseball for 10 more years from today-ish, give or take, and they're only in the new stadium for 6 years. That's the worst case scenario that we can right. That's the worst case scenario we can have once everything shakes out. And these people don't care about that other part. It's not that they don't care about the other part. They don't understand that that's a possibility, and that they don't want to take the time.
It's a very remote possibility for a couple of reasons. Well, one is the way that they realign minor league baseball.
Right. And at full disclosure, is
only have a certain now. They reduce the number of teams, but each major league team only has they only have 30 AA teams, and we're one of them. We're Tennessee Smokies are one of them.
Right.
So there's that, and then the other thing is. And Mark Mamontoff, who is the bond counsel for the city and the county, who's been involved in virtually every stadium financing project in Tennessee over the last 20 years, said that has publicly said that they can craft the lease. The agreement with Boyd Sports to cover all 30, the 25 to 30 years, however long the bond issue is going to be, so that their part of that will go to their part of the payment would go to that regardless.
Right.
If they back out of the lease, they still have to pay, right. Which is what they're going to have to do if they leave Sevierville early, which is what the plan is.
Right.
But
yeah,
they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay Sevierville and Sevier County for a couple of years on their lease that they're not going to be there on.
I heard rumor that the Cherokee was going to pick that up, but we'll see how that plays out.
It's a big lease. That's still that's a contract.
Right, I agree. I'm just saying, like,
as far as the land goes, yeah. I mean, the land. Anybody who's worried about Sevierville and Sevier County about that land is absolutely insane. It's a huge,
for sure,
property right by the main interstate exit going to the nation's most visited national park.
Right, it'll get picked up.
The city of Sevierville, Sevier County will be able to sell that for a fortune to anybody who wants to buy it at any time, and whatever resort goes in there, the sales tax revenues will far outstrip anything that they got from the Tennessee Smokies.
For sure.
So don't cry for Sevier County.
Right, and don't cry for Boyd Sports, because they're not going to pay it, because it's going to get picked up by whoever takes it over before the end of the lease, probably anyway.
No. You don't understand how leases work.
Apparently not.
The lease, if they back out of their lease 2 years early, they have to pay those 2 years, regardless of what Sevier County does with the property.
Oh, damn. Double nice. Yeah, good for Sevier County.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if the Smokies, as the plan goes, move here in 2023, and it's 2 years here, they'll be paying Knox County and the city county sports authority at least 2 years worth of leases here and pay Sevier County 2 years worth of leases there at the same time.
Right.
So it's actually going to hurt. If you want to look at it that way, the timing of it's going to hurt Boyd Sports as much as it's going to, more than it's going to help it.
Right. So, like, yeah, if for Boyd Sports, it would have been better if we were having this conversation in 2023.
Right. Yes.
Because they get the.
Financial.
Right.
But obviously, here's one of the things. It's really not that big of a financial deal for Randy Boyd and Boyd Sports.
Right.
Randy Boyd is a Knoxville native. It's not like he's somebody who came here from
New Jersey,
Missouri 5 years ago, and decides he wants baseball. He's somebody who grew up in Knoxville, and he loves baseball. He does love baseball. He's a big, huge baseball fan, and he wants to bring baseball back to Knoxville.
Right.
And he's willing to take the financial hit to do it. He's not willing to pay the whole cost of a new stadium.
Right. And again, like the way the math broke down, like when I sat here with Manitoff came in with I had
okay.
I had Chris, Manitoff and Chris in the room, and I hate this because I keep forgetting her name from the city. She zoomed in, and we did a thing when I was right, and I was really enjoying playing with my technology because I'm a dork like that. And like I get it, like the math makes sense to me. Like I was one of those people who the initial thought was like, no, this is stupid. It's not a proper way to spend our tax dollars, kind of thing. And I have 100% flip sides. Other than the city budget part of it, as far as I understand it, I am 100% on board. The city budget has a bigger question. I'm not a city resident, so I don't care about the city finances as much. But as a constituent of Knox County, it's not going to cost Knox County. It's not going to cost the city. It doesn't cost the city much, really. Anyway, the city county responsibility is very small in it, but the county has a much better option to push their hotel motel tax into it. And I'm not sure, like the city, at least when I talked to Welch, when I had Welch in here, she said to me that they don't know exactly how they're going to do it, where the county already has it planned out. And what the county's plan is good with me. We'll see what the city's plan is to pay for their portion. But for how it breaks down, 600,000 a year or something like that, it's nothing big.
It's not much. $600,000. It's funny when you're talking about, and I fall into the trap too. When you talk about government financing, $600,000 is nothing. Hey, if you gave me $600,000, it would change my life. Right. But in the scheme of government financing, 600,000 is nothing almost. It's there are minor road projects that cost $600,000.
Right, which is that is a whole another thing. That
so it's very. The city spends several million a year on affordable housing.
Right.
So 600,000 on baseball is not. It's not. Basically, when you get right down to the baseball stadium, it's not a matter of whether the city and the county can afford it. That doesn't really matter because they can.
Yes, I agree.
What matters is, and I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking earlier. What the real question is do you want a baseball team or not?
Yeah.
You can afford it. If you go to the store. If you go to a store and you see a coat, or maybe a car. I don't know what you want. Whatever the object is, you can afford it. The question is, do you want to buy it? Well, that's the same. Basically, that's the same here. The city and the county can afford to build a baseball stadium. And that would be a home for the Smokies,
right?
And the question is, do you want it?
Well, the better way to, I think the better question is we'll use the coat example is, we'll say with the coat example, is that a coat I'm going to wear? That's the better way to ask.
No, it's not. It's you want it. You want the coat.
Well,
I mean, they can build the stadium, and and they will, if they do build the stadium,
right?
There'll be,
but is it?
There'll be It's supposed to be a 7,000 seat stadium. Probably 3,000 to 7,000 will show up. 7,000 on big games, 3,000 to 5,000 maybe on regular games. They'll go there, and so the question is: do you want a baseball stadium? Do you want a minor league baseball team in your community or not? That's the question. It's not. I mean, people are going to go.
Right.
People went to Bill Meyer Stadium when it was here, and if you weren't here when Bill Meyer Stadium was here, it was a dump.
Right.
Which is why the Smoky moved to Sevierville in the first place. So people loved going to Bill Meyer Stadium because they love to go see baseball games, and it's that is the fundamental question. Because we can,
right?
The government can afford it.
Right,
so
I agree.
You can afford it. The question is, do you want it?
I agree, but I think I maybe I didn't. I failed on the right version of the re-ask of the question. It's not am I going to wear it? It's am I going to feel good while I'm wearing it? That may be a better way to state the question.
Yeah.
And that's really the conversation we're having is do I feel good in it? Do I feel like it's a greater good for me? Like again, it's a sport jacket. Do I go into a business meeting and feel like I'm the boss of the room because I got this sweet new sport coat I bought? And that's really what we're talking about. And I 100% agree with you. It's not about money. It's really not about money. It's not about the financing. As it's set up, it makes 100% sense that it's not an affordability question at all. It's, am I going to feel good about wearing this coat? Am I going to feel good about what this does for me and me being the community at large? And that's really, I think, what the question is as we've been talking about it. So I
think that's part of that's part of the question or the response I said. I mean, that's part of do I want it?
Mm-hmm.
Part of do I want it is am I going to look good in it?
Yeah.
And part of it is am I going to use it?
Yeah.
And part of it is it just a good thing to have?
Yeah.
I mean, they're
and honestly, all the answers.
One of the biggest selling points, it's one of the biggest points that proponents will talk about is the that it adds to the mix of things that can attract businesses and talented employees and things like that to the Knoxville area from other places.
Yep.
And it's not in and of itself. Nobody in their right mind is going to move to Knoxville because of baseball. Nobody, not one person. But if we have baseball and we have hockey and we have the zoo and we have good schools and we have this and we have that and we have the other, then people will look it's part of that whole mix of community that the folks over at the chamber try to sell.
Right.
I mean, one of the things, I don't know. I've never asked anybody this because I know that no company has moved to Knoxville because of the Ice Bears.
Right.
But I guarantee you that one of the selling points of if someone is looking to relocate here, if a company is recruiting a programmer from Minneapolis and they want them to come to Knoxville, they're going to mention that there's pro hockey here.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. It's not the only thing. The job is the most important thing. The pay is another thing. The climate is much better. But they're going to mention to the computer programmer, from Minneapolis or the company from Buffalo that that might want to open a satellite office here, that there is hockey here. That's part of the mix, and that's what they're going to do, and that's what you do with baseball as well. You can say, if you move your company to downtown Knoxville after work, your entire company can just walk over to the stadium and watch a ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, like I said, is that the selling point? No. But nobody's that foolish.
Right. But it doesn't hurt.
But it does add to that mix, that gumbo or that soup that is Knoxville, that adds a flavor that we don't have.
Right. And
I think that's
right.
The chamber people talk about.
Right. And everything.
But like I said, it all goes back to, does the community want a baseball team?
Right. I don't care about a baseball team. I want other things. And that's what I want out of the stadium personally, is the other stuff. And that's what they promised to do. And I'm going to hold that to account, is the other stuff. I want concerts. I want outdoor farmers markets, whatever it is. I want the other stuff that comes along with it, because I don't care about baseball, but I care about. I want concerts. That's all I really want. I want a good outdoor concert venue to go see stuff at.
One thing I will tell you is what they told me. I don't know if they follow through with it or not. But one of the problems, like with current Smoky Stadium in Sevierville, is not set up for outdoor concerts, and I actually know people in the concert business, and it's horribly difficult because they can't drive down onto the field and drop stuff off.
Right.
They have to offload it and move it, and it's very difficult to set up a concert at Smoky Stadium. At the stadium that they're proposing for Knoxville, they had told us, or me anyway, and others, that they are going to part of the design is to make sure that promoters can bring in the lighting equipment, the staging equipment, and things like that they need to set up,
right,
and run an outdoor concert there. So I think they're very serious about that.
Right. All right. So we're getting late.
Does that mean they're going to deliver? I don't know.
That and that's the other question that floats around.
Game.
Right. All right. So the final, the something to close out on in the most ridiculous fashion, because that's how I do. One, you have the best hair of the two of you in Compass. Two, what are we going to do about Randy Pace?
What do we have to do about it?
I just thought like that. Again, I like initially, one of the things I wanted to talk about with you guys next time I talked to you about was the Randy Pace conundrum, and that it got overshadowed by the Mr. Fisher, the Bob Fisher issue. I don't know. Like, again, going like this is where we started. I'm not in a place yet where it matters to me specifically, but I hope to get to a place where I have to have the conversation with, what do I do about I don't know. I'm not going to run a subscription model, so it doesn't matter to me, but like that whole conversation about like Randy Pace is still in the group and he's not subscribing anymore. And it's a weird spot, and I 100% get it, and I don't envy your position in it. But it was a weird thing that happened. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because he wasn't that active of a player since I've been a member of the group, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just started dropping bombs. And so, like, how do you manage that as because that's not what you're trying to do, is manage people on your group, but there is an issue there.
Well, I mean, one of the things is Randy. Of course, Randy Pace, for the listeners who don't know. And there are probably a lot of listeners who don't know, Randy is was the chairman of the Knox County Republican Party. And he did subscribe for a while, and he was a member of our private Facebook group for subscribers. we cut him some slack because of his position. If anybody wanted to know, something about, Republican politics, whatever, he was there and he could answer. One of the things is with Randy is he is a very vocal and energetic person. And a lot of times he would, the biggest problem I had with
oh, don't do this now.
Randy would do from time to time is he would post on that. We try our Facebook group is make sure that we keep it to local issues or state issues at the most,
right?
Because that's what our focus is as a publication. And you got plenty of places if you want to go complain about Joe Biden or Donald Trump or anybody else. Plenty of places out in the digital world you can go. Our group
is not for that.
Our group is the place to complain about Jacobs and India Kincannon. That's what our place is for. And Randy a lot of times would bring in national stuff, and and there's always and a lot of people who like to do that say, well, what happens on the national level affects us here and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but go somewhere else and do it. That's the biggest problem I think that we had with Randy. It's not that he posted that often; he really did.
Right? No, I mean,
but when he did, it was quite. I don't want to say aggressive. It's not the right term, but he was quite passionate, and a lot of times it was about national issues,
right?
That
and he could be
aren't really place.
Right. As well, like I like Randy as a person. He's a really cool guy to be hanging around with or whatever. But he can be like on social media. At least he drops the divisive stuff, the very divisive stuff.
Well, I don't even have somebody being divisive.
I do.
But our big thing with our Facebook page is the main thing is that it be local, about local issues.
Okay.
And that's where Randy would cross the line more often than not.
All right.
I don't mind the incident we talked about earlier with Bob. I mean, it was, it's not really that Bob was so passionate. It's that the phrasing that he used is a phrase that is often used in a
violent,
threatening situation.
Right. All right.
And we don't want threats either. I mean, that's the other thing is,
right. You have a form of people, and they you can't control that. That's one of the weird spots that goes into a whole. I mean, we want to get into federal issues, which we don't. That goes into that whole spot of like how to moderate and how to play the game. Scott, listen, I'm about to pee my pants, and I can't wait to go to the bathroom, but I can't appreciate you enough.
I want to watch this.
You want to watch this? All right. Well, all right.
Well, yeah.
All right. So we can continue. All right. So here's what's going to happen. Scott, just talk to yourself for 5 minutes. I'm going to go pee.
No.
Keep the air running.
I've got to go myself. So
I will happily. Like I was considering peeing in a bottle, but I didn't want to do that to people. So, Scott, I can't appreciate you enough. And as much as Jesse has terrible hair, I like him too. You guys keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to keep subscribing. I'm going to keep telling people to subscribe to you guys because you're actual journalists doing actual journalist things. I'm just a guy talking about stuff, trying to pay attention to what's happening. And I'm going to do an outro. Last words from you, sir, before I hit the noise-making button.
Well, thanks for having me on, and Seth, don't sell yourself short. You're doing a great job. Well, I mean, one of the things is you come from the perspective of I don't know everything. I might not know anything about this. Tell me about it. More of us should be that way.
I mean, I lean into I lean
in a way that's what journalists do.
Right.
We go to people and say, tell us about what's going on with you.
Right. I don't know. Right. I don't know. Explain it to me. I'm too dumb to understand, but try anyway.
So Anyway, but thanks so much. I appreciate it. And anytime you want either good hair, bad hair, whichever hair you want from Compass, just let us know.
All right. So if we learn nothing else tonight, that Scott has the superior hair, that is a fact. We know it. It is on the record now. It's going to be shared out among all the people on the planet that Scott has the superior hair of the Compass team. I can't. Again, we reference Compass all the time. They are my favorite source. They are the best source probably in Knoxville. And so if you're not a subscriber already, you need to be one. We are almost in agreement. almostinagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Our website is live at almostinagreement.com. All the websites or all the episodes are uploaded there, as well as any major provider that you like to listen to things on. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. I've got Todd Fromeyer on Monday checking in before he skips town. I've got Sheriff Spangler on Wednesday, which I'm scared to death of, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because, as Scott mentioned, I know I don't know, and I think that's the smartest thing that people can do is understand that you don't know things and find people that do to ask the question to. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for Scott for coming out. Thanks for Matt earlier tonight. Stay tuned. We're going to keep throwing them at you. We've got a big show with the main crew also coming up tomorrow. Can't believe I forgot about that. Good night, everybody. Where's the stop button? All right, edit that part out. Oh, man. I need to not do this again. That was a bad life choice. Matt went long. I did not expect Matt to hang out as long as he did. I like Matt a lot. Like, Matt's probably one of my favorite people. Like, it's weird. Like, Matt and Randy are probably my favorite people I've met in doing this. Like, it's been the most fun, and they're so diametrically opposite. It's too much fun to talk to both of them. And we're still live on YouTube.